that, I'll hand it over to Adil, who will tell you more about the Split platform. Thanks.
Thank you, Javier. Really appreciate it. And thank you to the Split SalesforceIQ team for hosting us. You guys are an amazing set of customers, ex-colleagues, and we really appreciate your hospitality. So my name is Adil. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Split. I wanted to come talk to you guys about safe launch and experimentation, two things that Split powers, and talk a little bit about why that's important for technologists like ourselves. But before I launch into that, a little bit about myself. I've had the good fortune, I'm a data scientist by training, but by profession I've moved more and more towards data infrastructure and data engineering. I've been very fortunate to work at some amazing companies over the years, starting my career at Yahoo, and from there moving to LinkedIn, RelateIQ, where I got to work with Fabian, Brother Eckhart, and a lot of the other people over here. And finally, we started Split 2 years ago, Trevor, Pat, and myself, to solve some of the problems that we are going to talk about. So Split, just a quick company overview. We are a safe launch and experimentation platform, and our mission is to allow companies to build better software faster. We are a group of 22 people who come from backgrounds such as RelateIQ, Salesforce, LinkedIn, Google, Looker, and Databricks, to name a few of the companies, and we're backed by Excel and Lightspeed Ventures. Before diving into what safe launch is, how we think safe launch and experimentation is shaping the world, I want to talk a little bit about some of the trends that are shaping our industry. So the first trend that I want to share with you is that software is being delivered faster than ever before. And we all know that, right, from our own experiences. But this graph makes it so much more apparent, so much more clear, right? Back in the 90s, arguably the most successful software product of all times, the Windows XP, was built and delivered over 2 years, right? But the state of the art today is companies like Netflix, Twitter, Facebook. They're delivering software tens, hundreds, thousands of times a day to their production environment, right? So the pace of software delivery is getting faster. Not only that, but also there's this other this other trend that's shaping our industry and the way we work, which is that the amount of data that's available out there and how that's changing the way software gets built. Some of you may know, but 90% of the world's data was collected over the last 2 years, right? Generated over the last 2 years, and that has been true for every 2-year period over the last 30 years, and that has only happened, and it's only going to grow in the future. This trend has not only changed the way we build software, but also changed the way our teams are structured, right? Most of you have, some of you are maybe are data scientists, others of you have heard or worked with a data scientist before. Now this term data scientist, this role data scientist, is now an integral part of most software development teams. And this is just a graph that shows you how the need for data scientists has gone up. This need for data scientists also shows how software development is becoming far more experimental, right? Teams are now using data to figure out, well, what do we need to build, rather than having a very clear idea of what we're going to build, using data and exploration and experimentation to figure out what is it that our customers really need and delighting them with amazing customer experiences. So these two trends combine to create a world where the best software companies are those that are both agile as well as have a culture of experimentation. That's what sets these companies apart. Some of you are from Yahoo's, others are from Salesforce. Think about how these companies use experimentation and agility to their advantage. Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. So let's dive a little bit deeper into agility. Now, agility simply means being able to move fast, right? And the biggest force that's shaping agility, the agility agenda at companies across the board, is continuous delivery, which simply means the ability to deliver software continuously in small, iterative features, as opposed to that large kind of like Windows XP library coming up, having the ability to deliver software continuously. And this study I wanted to share with you kind of makes clear of how it's shaping even the enterprise space, right? I mean, most of us are over here are from very nimble, younger companies, but this State of the DevOps report collected, the differences between high performance and low performance teams across the enterprises. And what they found was high performing teams in the enterprise space are delivering software once every day, at least, right? So if that's happening in the enterprises, what about younger startup-oriented companies in the valley? when you're continuously delivering new experiences to customers, you also run continuous risk. And that risk is simply that any one of those pushes to production can potentially bring your site down, can potentially cause disruption to your customer's experience. Not only any customers, all of your customers, right? And that is always, for any one of you who has been on call or has had to deal with a customer fire, you know how disruptive that experience is. And so if this problem is there, right, of risk associated with software deployments and delivery, how has this been historically solved, right? Now, if we take the example of Microsoft back from the 90s, back then, Microsoft solved this problem by throwing an army of QA at this problem, right? People who were doing regression testing, unit testing, performance testing, all sorts of scenario-based testing to make sure of what? To make sure that once that software gets burnt on the CD and gets shipped out, we can't take it back. So it better be the best quality software that we can push out. But we can't deliver software, we can't build software today as if we were shipping CDs, right? We have to adapt to the modern needs, so that the modern teams today use this concept that we call safe launch. So what is safe launch? Safe launch is the idea that software should be delivered continuously in small iterative batches to subsets of customers, not all of your customers at a time, right? That's the key difference. It's to reduce the radius of impact for every single software change. And from there, dial it down to 100% of your customers. It's as simple and as deceptively simple as that. Now, it's rooted in the concept of feature flags, A/B testing, and dynamic configuration. We can unpack these terms a little bit more. Some of you, let's talk about feature flags. I'm sure most of you know about it, but just to get on the same page, feature flags is simply a mechanism. Academically speaking, it's a mechanism to separate code deploy from feature deploy, right? From separating the time when your code, your bits and bytes show up at the server from the time that your feature gets exposed to your customer, separating those two things. That's feature flags. And what does it look like in code? As pseudocode, it looks simply like this. I have features on, then show the feature, otherwise don't. As simple as that. It's either if or else for all of your customers. However, what can you do with this feature flag if you attach it to the jetpack of a targeting engine that you extract out of an A/B testing system, right? If you think about experimentation, A/B testing, one of the best things about these systems is their targeting capabilities. So what if you attach that to a feature flag? What do you get? What you get is a pseudocode like this. A feature is on for this specific customer, then show them the feature, otherwise don't. Now, what happens with that? What benefits you get? You get the ability to now be very granular in how you're rolling your features out, right? You can roll features out to whitelists of customers, and those whitelists could just simply be internal employees. So you can first dog food your new feature internally. It could be none of your customers, so that you can be continuously merging code into production. You could be rolling out to a segment of customers like, say for a B2B company, all of your trial customers. First test out the feature with all your trial customers before you show it to any of your paid customers. And similarly, you can roll it out to percentages of customers, like 20% of customers sitting in Austin. So for example, I actually experienced that real time when I went to North Carolina for a business trip, and I tried to Uber, and the set of features available to me as a Uber rider were different in Charlotte than they were in the San Francisco Bay Area. So they were testing out a new capability out there. Not only can this kind of like targeting engine allow you to gradually roll the feature out to a subset of customers, but you can also use it to take away access from your customers. So what happens when, say, you roll something out of 20% of customers and shit hits the fan, right? You end up having to do hot fixes, code rollbacks, all those things that we come to dread, right? Instead of doing that, you can simply kill the feature. It simply means remove access from all of your customers, redirect them to a safe experience. So it goes both ways. And so when you have this capability of feature flags combined with targeting engine under the safe launch umbrella, what you get are all of these benefits. You get agility because now you're able to continuously merge code into production. You don't have to maintain long-lived branches. You are able to get better quality because you're able to get to production faster. You're able to test your quality on actual production infrastructure with real production data as opposed to some synthetic data that you made up, right? Similarly, it helps with performance because you're able to test out again with real production infrastructure how the system will behave when you throw real traffic at it, which is, there's no comparison of that when you compare that to any sort of pre-production stage environments. And lastly, for especially this is more important for enterprisey, more mature companies, that it also adds to your security story because you no longer have to copy data from production to pre-production environments just so that you can do some sort of testing. And so in summary, safe launch is this concept of, as I said, rolling out features gradually to a subset of your customers and then dialing it up to more and more of them, right? And I think it's not an exaggeration to say that companies who say we're agile or we're practicing continuous delivery, they can't say that unless they're using some form of safe launch, right? It could be as simple as a basic feature flagging system that someone has built in-house, or it could be as complex as something like, or as powerful as Split, or something that you can build in-house. So how does this tie in with experimentation? Now, experimentation is simply the idea that one of the goals of agile development is to be customer-centric in your software development, right? And what that simply means is that, like us engineers and product managers, we are essentially part of this factory of ideas to outcomes, right? We come up with ideas to give amazing experiences to our customers, and we turn them into outcomes, basically, right? Now, experimentation is simply the idea that you start from a rough idea, you prototype it quickly, get it in front of a subset of your customers, learn, understand the impact on your KPIs, key performance indicators, your metrics, and from there start all over again and create that feedback loop. That's simply what experimentation is. And to use our terminology, right, it simply means software delivered continuously at small, iterative batches, plus the ability to understand the impact of those iterative batches on KPIs, right? Does that sound similar? It sounds very similar because it is very much related to safe launch. So then what's the difference between safe launch and experimentation? Safe launch is the idea of ensuring agility, giving you agility while making sure that your systems remain stable. Experimentation, on the other hand, is all of that, plus the ability to optimize your metrics, your business metrics, the things you care about as a business. So let's take an example. Let's say I work for Netflix and I'm coming up with a brand new recommendation algorithm for the movie recommendations, right? So if I were thinking safe launch, when launching this feature to say 20% of Netflix's subscribers, what I would do is I would make sure that there's no negative impact on the technical metrics that we watch out for. Latency, error rates, throughput, time on site, things like that. But if I were thinking experimentation, I would do that plus watch out for how this new recommendation algorithm is impacting the business metrics that Netflix cares about. Things like, well, how many times are people playing or watching this video? What's the engagement? How many total minutes of watching time has happened over the last day? Things like that. So that's the difference between experimentation and safe launch. So in other words, these are two sides of the same coin. And if I were to talk about how they interplay, if I take the same example of launching this new recommendation algorithm to Netflix's customers, if you think about it, it's a continuum of you're rolling it out from 0% to 10% to 20, 50, all the way to 100% of your customers. And the way these two sides of the coin work together is that, say, the first 10% of the ramp is focused purely on safe launch, on stability, on making sure that we haven't effed anything up, right? Are there any bugs? Are there any memory leaks? Anything like that? Can we catch that? The remaining 10% to 50% ramp is all about experimentation. It's about optimization. It's about understanding, are we getting the business objectives for which we created this new recommendation algorithm? Are we driving those or not? Because if we are not, then it's probably either we need to go back to the drawing board and redo this whole thing, or abandon the idea. Why go to 100% of my customers at this point? And from there onwards, from 50% to 100%, it's again about stability. It's again about safe launch. Why? Because the level of the type of errors that happen between 0 to 10% and between 50 to 100% are very different, right? The 0 to 10% errors are all bugs, exceptions, basic programmatic errors that we did not watch out for. But the 50 to 100% ramp errors are all about scale, right? What happens when actual, real, like the type of traffic that we are used to dealing with, 100 QPS, 1,000 QPS, whatever it is that we deal with, what happens when that level of traffic hits this feature? Will systems fail? So in summary, I would say that experimentation is the frontier of modern software development. It is the evolution of this trend that started with continuous integration first, from there continuous delivery, safe launch, and now experimentation, right? And the reason why I can claim that is because if you pick some of the most successful companies that we all know about, they all have built internal solutions. They all have built internal solutions to do these two things: safe launch and experimentation. So for example, Facebook has created a system called Gatekeeper, and a lot of other a lot of other projects as well, not just Gatekeeper, to do what? Safe launch and experimentation. LinkedIn built Lix, excellent, and a couple of other systems. I know that because I used to work over there. Amazon famously built Web Labs. I don't know what it's called today, but it started off as Web Labs. Uber recently announced that they built Uber XP, again for safe launch as well as experimentation. And that's precisely why we started the company, right? Because we saw this trend that this is how software development is going, and most companies in the world are not like Facebook. They will not be able to build a world-class system because it is a production system that's running your production traffic. Most companies in the world will not have the resources to build systems like that, and that's why we built Split. So thank you so much for listening to my talk. I'm going to give you a quick demo of Split just so you get an idea, but do you have any questions that I can answer, or anyone else from the Split team can answer? Questions? No? Okay. Threats? I'll quickly show you guys a demo. Okay, great. So what you're seeing over here is Split's homepage. And when you log into Split, you log into an environmental view of how your deployments are going, right? So at the top, you'll see that there are 3 environments: staging, queue, and production. And these are basically, for our demo purposes, we've created these. However, they reflect whatever Split speaks the language of your company. So whatever are the deployment environments in your company, that's what it adapts to. So let's go ahead and quickly create a Split for the purpose of this demo. Let's go ahead. The way we create a new Split is by clicking over here. Let's call it Meetup Demo. Or let's be more specific. Let's say we're rolling it out for Uber. So Uber feature, right? The first type of flexibility that Split gives to you is the ability to speak your language, right? Each company rolls out features by different units of customers. So if I ask you the question, do you roll your features out X by X? What is X? A B2B company might say accounts, organizations. A B2C company will most likely say users, right? So I know SalesforceIQ, for example, rolls out organization by organization. Yahoo, if they were using Split, they will roll out user by user. So for the purpose of this demo, we'll use user. If you go ahead and create this feature, you land again into the Split page, and again you see the same 3 environments showing up over and over again, because these environments are how a feature migrates from one place to another, right? So let's go ahead and configure the Split directly in production, because that's the best way of delivering software, going directly to production. Now, by default, we give you a simple experience of on or off. That's your basic feature flag. However, you can always, if you're doing any sort of complex A/B testing, you can always create more treatments. So for example, you can, or variations. Our word for variations is treatments. Comes from medical literature, by the way. Because in medicine you have treatments and you have control. So yeah, you can create V1, V2 off, or we'll keep it simple. We can make it on and off. Now the level of targeting that you have available with Split is, first of all, just basic whitelisting. With this, you can start by saying, well, if I just save the Split right now, none of our customers or none of Uber's customers will have access to this particular feature. What I can do is I can come in and enter my user ID for Uber. So whatever that is, some number. Go ahead and click on it. Right, and when I do that, it automatically whitelists the specific user into the on experience. So now if I go ahead and save this particular split, only this specific user will have access to this feature in production. Now similarly, I can keep on entering more IDs to indicate my team, or if this list becomes too long, then I can go ahead and create a new segment called, for example, employees. Right? Segment is simply a collection of user IDs slapped with a name. So in this case, say the employee segment. So now we're rolling out a feature to all of Uber's employees. If you wanted to do now, this is some basic whitelisting capability. If you want to do anything more advanced than that, then we move over to the rules section or the ramping section. The type of capability available over here is first of all, some basic percentage rollout. So for example, if user is in segment all is just a special reserved keyword for the universe of your users. And over here, if I simply do 20% on, 80% off, now if I save the split in this state, then 20% of my customers randomly chosen will now have access to this particular feature, 80% will not. And I can play with these percentages to increase or decrease exposure. I can also pick other segments that I may have created on Split's console. So for example, I can have a beta user section. Say I created a segment of beta users, and I can similarly do the percentage rollout on that segment. Right? Now segments, again, are more for like static set of IDs that I've created. If I want to do any sort of more dynamic targeting, then I can use custom attributes. So say, for example, custom attributes allow you to target based on any dimension that you are keeping track of for your customers. So say, for example, let's say there's a category of Uber riders: expert, people who take an Uber every day; occasional, people who take once a week; rare, people who barely ever take Uber, just so that we can target different experiences with these people. So say I call it category, right? The type of targeting capabilities available to me depend upon the type of the attribute. So for example, category is a single string, typically, right? I'm either occasional, I'm either rare, or I'm an expert rider on Uber. So I can go ahead and say, well, I'm going to target only the expert riders, because maybe I'm giving them a particular new offering. I can also do other type of targeting. For example, I can target based on the last time they rode with Uber. So for example, last ride date, I can say. And now I can do some sort of a date matching. So for example, I can say is on or after a particular date. And similarly, I can keep on doing more and more refined targeting, right? I can target based on numbers, I can target based on sets of things, I can target based on Booleans. All of those capabilities are available to me. And again, now if you read it, it's a simple Boolean and then you get a percentage-based rollout on top of that. If you needed to create any sort of or conditions, you can simply do else if. And this is the way you continue building your split and your rollout plan. As you can see, it gives you a hell of a lot of power to slice and dice your customers and target specific experiences to them. So for simplicity, let's go ahead and save this split. If I go ahead and save the split, a question that may come up is, well, how do you integrate this into my code, right? So for that, we can go to the syntax tab. Now, Split supports 7 different languages. Let me make sure my counting is correct. Yes, 7 different languages. It's always very embarrassing. You say a number and then the number never really shows up. But 7 different languages, and the way you integrate it is simply by copy-pasting this code, right? What you do is we provide you with an SDK. That SDK lives within your application. You can instantiate the SDK. We provide it with an API key. We provide it to you. It uniquely identifies the environment that you're speaking with. And from there, all you have to do is to call this one method called getTreatment. The getTreatment method takes 3 parameters: the user ID, the unique identifier for this specific user, this rider, the name of the feature, and any sort of runtime attributes that you may want to target by. So in this scenario, the last ride date and the category. The key thing I want to call out is that this is where you begin to see the difference between segments and attributes. Attributes are things you provide every single time you make a call to split, because those are fast-moving things that you want to capture as fresh as possible. Segments, on the other hand, are more static data that you upload once to split. Maybe you will keep it updated once a night, and then you can reuse them over and over again. You don't have to provide them every single time. What happens with that is Split will compute, the SDK will compute within process, within memory, the treatment that you should show to this customer, on or off, or on or off, or whatever other treatment that you may have, right? And the last thing I would point out over there and emphasize is that no remote call is happening. There's no API call happening at this point. So there's no performance penalty for using Split. You can use it, for example, some of our customers, so one of our customers is Twilio, and so they're moving us to their backend calls where they actually process all of the phone calls and SMSs that are happening. I imagine the QPS of that particular data pipeline. Now they are moving us over there because the performance of this particular call is in the order of nanoseconds, so it's extremely performant. Any questions on this code? Nope. Okay. Okay. From here, a couple of other things I'll show you, and is let's go to a split that I've created in the past, so that we can have a little bit more concrete. We'll have a little bit more data about that particular split. So when you create a split, we also understand this is a production environment or a production system, so it needs to have all the bells and whistles that you need for a production-ready system. So the type of capabilities we provide to you is audit logs, right? So for example, we tell you which one of your teammates made what change at what time in this particular split. So for example, I can quickly go ahead and see over here, well, this is the change that Adil made to the split last, so that if Adil messed up, people know that it was Adil, and they can go talk to him and say, well, what the hell? And then he can be like, well, you know, this was a particular problem. In any case, not only that, but we also begin to capture a stream of data that's extremely important for experimentation purposes, which is our impression data or traffic data. This is basically the data that captures which of your users or accounts or whatever is your traffic type were given which treatment, on or off. In this case, neither is the name of a treatment, at what time, and why. And this why is extremely important because when you have these reasonably complicated rollout plans, then oftentimes you get a treatment and you don't understand why the hell did we show this treatment to this customer? I don't understand. So Split tells you exactly which of those rules that we just created, whether it was the the whitelist rule or some sort of segment rule or some other rule, which one of those rules matched, and you ended up getting that treatment. Now, all of this data is exportable out of Split, and you can move it to your data warehouses, so you can do any sort of experimentation, any sort of like metric analysis based on this data. Of course, you can do tagging, you can turn on permissioning, the role-based access control, all of that. A few other things I'll show you are segments, for example. Segments, again, as I mentioned, are a collection of IDs slapped with the name. So for example, you can have a beta user segment. You can add to it by individually. You can add a particular ID over here. You can add in bulk, or you can upload a CSV, for example, to this segment. Lastly, we also provide you with APIs so you can simulate. A few other things I would show you. Of course, we've got enterprise-grade security. We support SAML, so if your organization uses any sort of Okta or anything like that, you can log in with that. The one thing that I'm really proud of for the team to have thought through and built this into the product from bottoms up is this idea that Split plays within the ecosystem that you as a developer or you as a product manager or you as a data scientist cares about, right? So we are not a universe of our own. We actually help enrich all of the other systems that you use. So for example, we integrate directly with a few collaboration and chat tools, Slack, HipChat, and email, because everyone needs more email. So with that, we help you understand, well, when someone made a change to a particular split, who made the change? And we also understand oftentimes you're not sitting on Split all day just refreshing your page, right? You're oftentimes on Slack, so we help you understand as a teammate if John Doe made a change to a particular split. Not only that, but for SREs, for operations people, we also help them understand if an engineer rolled out a feature that they were not aware of, how did that impact performance? So we integrate with a number of performance monitoring tools, New Relic, Datadog, AppDynamics, Liberato. In all of these, we help you overlay your performance monitoring graphs with these rollout events. And the purpose over there is that if a rollout happened and right after that performance goes shit, you'll know, right? You don't, the whole time that you spend in figuring out, well, what happened, who made a change, all of that time is cut out. And you can take an action really quickly. We integrate with your project management tools, and actually I'll go back and show you how. But we help you, we integrate with Jira so that you can have a dual link. You can have Jira tickets sitting in your split so that you can keep track of what are the tasks associated with this particular split, but also you can update Jira with, again, the audit logs that we create. We integrate with log management, analytics tools like Segment so that you can pull out all that traffic data and push it into any of your other tools. And if we don't support some of these, any integration that you're interested in, then we provide you with this data using Dropbox. Lastly, we also integrate with exception tracking systems like Rollbar. And of course, it's pretty lonely out there at Rollbar, but we'll flesh it out a lot if you want. Last thing. One last thing I'll show you. And as I mentioned, security is very important to Split, so just watch this and be amazed. If you end up having a problem and you want to kill a feature, all you have to do on Split is click on kill, type kill, and you just want to make sure that you're really sure you want to kill the split. So now a third time, press kill, and then your split will be killed in a matter of a few seconds. So that's how we do. That's how simple the process of rolling features back is on Split. You don't have to do any sort of code deploy to roll back a particular feature, which is the power of the system. And of course, this is the Jira integration, where you can, if you want to clean up a split after it has been rolled out and you want to remember, you can open up a ticket and you can tie it directly on Split. So you can, for example, say, well, I'm going to some ticket split 1, 2, 3. Add, and it will show up, and that way you can keep some doing. That's where I would stop for a high-level demo. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.